when we'd had this conversation before, I had come away with everything from a big picture, everything you just said, all the stuff that has happened over the last year. But one of the things that we've talked about in years past, and maybe you're about to share this as something that should be in there too, is what are your plans for this year, right? Like looking forward,
Sure.
here's what we've done. Here's what we're looking forward. And
Great.
I realized that might be the way to lean on this, to embrace that and use that as the catalyst to creating the first one of these, right?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me, and I was like, yeah, that's a good way to look at it because it's more engaging. Hey, this is what we're working on.
Yeah.
And getting that first one is important because then
it becomes a habit. Then you're fine.
It's easier.
It's way easier.
There's a lot of and there's carryover, right?
You're right.
Oh, we got this contract and it took this month or this many months to get in place, and now we're doing X or whatever.
Look what we thought we were going to do, and here's what we actually did, right? Because that stuff happens, and that's totally fine. But the way that I approached this, and I did it not just for myself, but definitely for myself, because I'd never done one of these before. We talked about it every year. You have this, it's a great idea. I never bothered to do it, and I wanted to. And then with one of the businesses, I really wanted to dig in with my partners and do this. And so in order to incentivize or to catalyze all of us, me included, but also my partners, to do it, I came up with a way to frame it. And the way I said it was, okay, and now remember, last year it was, knee deep in the pandemic. I don't know if we're still knee deep in it or not, but certainly looking back, I can say last year was knee deep in it. I don't know what I'll say a year from now. It was knee deep in the pandemic, and I said, all right, fast forward 5 years. This was our assignment to which we were both accountable to one another, with my partner. And I said, fast forward 5 years, and you're at a cocktail party. And someone asks you, man, how did you get that business to grow so well starting in the middle of a pandemic? And this is your answer to that story, right? Or this is your answer, which now becomes your story. And I know, because you've taught me, that once you've told a story, it's way easier to go and then make it happen because you know the story that you want to tell in 5 years at this cocktail party.
And you're convincing yourself.
You're convincing yourself. Absolutely.
It's a trick.
It's a total trick. Yeah. Well, I always say, somebody, not me, but I latched onto this decades ago. I heard somebody say, you wake up with a finite amount of discipline points to spend every day.
Oh, yeah.
And so the trick is to figure out how to get the stuff done that you don't really want to do without spending any of those discipline points. Because once you've spent them, they're gone, right? You don't get to like dig more up. Like once you've done the things you don't want to do, you're not going to be able to do any more things you don't want to do, right? And certainly you can get better at discipline, but the trick is not needing them in the first place and telling the story that writing the story that you want to be able to tell is the key to that. So, or one key to that. So this was the assignment. And as soon as I did that, I was like, oh man, like now I'm ready to go. And I started digging in and, writing the thing, and my partner did the same thing. And it was a really valuable exercise for us. Not only did we didn't really focus as much on the past for that particular exercise. It was, again, far more about the future, but there was enough of the immediate future in there because it was going to be like, all right, well, the origin of this story was, we had this business going, pandemic hit. What did we do to really, what were the changes we made to really rock this thing forward, right? What opportunities did we capitalize on to do that? And it made writing that so much easier. And now this year, it's like, oh, well, I have that. I can just sort of build on it. And now it's not a new thing, because starting new things is always the hard part, right? Like I'm a terrible procrastinator when it comes to starting new things. So I have to trick myself.